there, welcome back to my channel, Paper Therapy with Amy. Here you see the Evergreen paper pack, and I am planning to use it to scrapbook some pictures where we went in Revelstoke, British Columbia, up to the top of, it's in a national park. You can drive to the top of this mountain, I guess, and there's a fire lookout on top. And I don't know if this reminds you of anything, but it reminded me a little bit, I think especially the way the trim is coming down reminded me of this church. And I thought, I wonder if I can like adjust this church to make it look like this and kind of have it somewhere on the page. So I have quite a few pictures to squeeze onto the page too, but I kind of have an idea coming to me. I have taken inspiration from a layout that I saw Jema do, which I will link down below. She used a title from an older stamp set. Here it is here. This is the stamp set. It's from Fresh Air. And I remember when I bought it, I was so excited because it had all these titles. So I loved how Jema used it in a line of pine trees and it just kind of fit right in. So I'm definitely going to try and do that. But I also want to make a mountain look. And Jema on that layout also made like a snowbank look, but I want to do it like in more of a summer version. So that is sort of my plan, and I'm going to use definitely some Kraft paper for that, and I want to tear it to make kind of a mountain scene. But the first thing I want to do is show you how to paper piece together the church. So to make it into like a fire lookout. So here's the church as it looks, and here are the pieces that I've cut apart. So this, as you can see, is the bottom half of the church right here, and then this is the top half here. But I'm gonna bring this down. See, I've snipped into here a little bit, so I'm gonna bring this down. So I've kind of got a roof line, and now you see the windows cut off, and that would be okay. You could probably fudge that, but I'm actually gonna put, so this is this part here. Again, I've cut it out, so it's this part right here. And then I glued, and I made the point, and then I glued, so I cut the trim off here, and then I cut out this little piece of roof here and glued it right here. And I'm gonna make the shingles kind of go up to the top. I haven't decided if I'm gonna cut, because if I bring my picture back right here, you can see that the roof is kind of a little bit flat on top, not much, but I think it makes it look less churchy if it's less pointy there. So here is what I plan to do. And I waited with this so that I could show you how I was doing it. So I'm gonna, I think, glue this down like that. And then I'm gonna try and continue those side lines up to the top. So I'm gonna do that for a minute. I did want to kind of see, I was using this for a little scrap paper. So this is the color of green that I'm trying to kind of copy. So this is the yellow green blend. And then this is the dull green. I'm just trying out the darkest shade. And then this is the light green. Okay, light green's out, right? I think it's the dull green. So I'm going to make the trim the dull green. It's not going to be the same as this trim. It's going to be the same as the green I'm using in the layout, but that's okay. This is more of the old forest green that we used to use. When I color, I like to use small, short strokes. That works the best for me for staying in the lines. Then I don't hold the pen down so I can move my hand and end up with a blotch because it kind of saturates the paper then. And I find it blends better that way. So I use the different shades to kind of color in the spots where they've made shading with the stamp, where they've kind of drawn lines to make a shadow. Those are the parts that I usually color a bit darker. I did end up going over quite a bit of the green because the lighter shade of green didn't match the pine in the layout quite as well. I used the muted brown to color the shingles on the roof, even though in my picture they're more of a green. I wanted them to be brown. I also use this fine tip marker to kind of draw a few more shingles in because I'm using siding as roof in this area. So I just added a few more shingle lines and colored it in, and you could never tell that it wasn't actually a roof in the original stamp. I used Evergreen Cardmaking to stamp this row of trees along the bottom of a sheet of white daisy. and I've already cut them up, but they were originally like this. I decided to pull this in. So I'm gonna leave a white trim around the edge. So I probably will just cut off, actually, because I want this peak to be right where it is. So let's take 3/4 of an inch. I think I'm gonna leave a 3/4 of an inch trim around this layout. So let's do that. And this is gonna be mostly covered, so we're gonna go like that. For now, we're gonna leave it like that. It could be anywhere here. And then I just was ripping pieces, so it doesn't matter because this is going to be hidden here. And I cut this line straight so I could make it like a hillside that's coming in behind. And I'll probably do some shading on here yet too. Okay, so this is going to go here like this. So now you see like 3 hillsides coming up here. Okay, now I'm just going to tack those in place a little bit to make my life easier. This photo of my husband and I do have there it is, a mat for it. I'm going to use the back side. I was going to use the front, but now that I'm using this green in the background, I want it to show a little bit stronger. There we go. Okay, so let's put this, I'm going to tack this one down. So this is going to cover that, and that's why I wasn't worried. And then I'm going to have my son walking up to the fire. And I think this one needs a little something around because it looks kind of like it's something. So I think I'm just going to use this cardstock. This is the sage. Let's use the dark side. Same. Okay, and then we'll ink that after. Oh, there, that looks already better. Let's come down a little bit. And even, I think my husband and I could overlap slightly. Now, so I had this one over here, but he's looking this way, so that looks a bit nicer, but I like it back there, so it's like he's looking, and this is what he's kind of looking at, is this in the distance. And I might even pull this up. See how high up we can get it. And I do kind of like it with my husband's in my picture here. And it's kind of fun if it continues here too. But it could be cute behind here. So it's kind of, so this is why I was cutting these, because I was kind of putting them in behind so that this line continues. And this is what Jama gave me. The biggest idea I got from Jama was this. So let's, these are going to come quite a bit down because I don't want to have to make them all the way across, but I do want them to come there. So you see this line of trees is gonna come across the page, and then we've got this one here. So this one is gonna continue from here. This is the top of the hill, and this is where the fire lookout's gonna be, I think. Now this one's down here. So oh, here's my boys being so silly for the camera. I have quite a story to tell too, so I really wanted to have this. I think this is going to be in a flip flap. Probably going like this, and then I'll have on the back of here my story, which I have to type up yet. And I will tell you, because it's a great story. So I'm going to put this to 3/4 because that makes the continuation of my bottom pine green line. There was really no need for me to rip any more of that patterned pine green paper because this photo here is going to cover up where it kind of disappears behind. I could just cut it and save more paper, and you can see these hillsides starting to come alive, and then I'm going to tuck in pine trees to kind of hide some of the holes, but also just to make it look more like a mountain scene. While this layout was sort of evolving, I decided that the 2 pictures with the sage green trim were a little bit too tall. All that sky wasn't really necessary in them, and it helped to make the hillsides look more visible to cut them down. So you'll see shortly, I don't have video of me actually doing it, but you'll see shortly that they've been cut down to squares. All right, now that I have everything, well, the paper backgrounds glued down, I'm gonna take it off of these mats because I'd like to get them right together because that helps me to finish the layout. So, well, I could just tuck this one close too. That's might work just as good. There we go. Okay. So I still have these two small pictures and I'm definitely going to, oh, this bear might look good tucked in here. So I'm definitely going to make them smaller because there's no need for this to be this large. So let's take a little off this side and then let's go to, so this picture is just under 3. So we'll make it a square and see how that works. And then I'm thinking I could have him just tucked right in here and cover up this little space here. And if you're wondering where the background came from, it is from a mix-in pack, a previous mix-in pack, and I'll link it down below. I actually have it right here so I can tell you it's mix-in April, June. And I think it's still available, so I can link it down below. So I do like that there. And then I'm wondering if with this summit sign, if I should cut it out. I feel like that's a little bit corny, like the old-fashioned way of scrapbooking, but I also think it might be kind of cute. So I think I'm gonna go for it. I can always print it again. I really like how it turned out to cut it out. This is just a kind of a different style of layout and it looked really good as a little sign. It just fit right in. I have the tips of the evergreens that are from that title piece. I just stamped out the tips and cut them, fussy cut them out because it doesn't have thin cuts. So I really like how they look. Then I can spread that style of pine tree across the page. I feel like the two different pine trees do fit together, especially with the same colors and just layering them up. It makes them really look good together. I really wanted the fire lookout that I created to just be peeking from behind some pine trees because maybe partly because I'm unsure of it. I do like it, but I also wanted it to really be a scene, like a little picture that tells kind of a story of what we did. While I'm kind of finding places for all my embellishments, I did want to mention that if you are enjoying this video, it'd be really great if you hit that thumbs up. That really helps me here on YouTube. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, that would be great. I'd love to have you, and then you'll be notified when I upload new videos. I try to do it weekly. It doesn't always happen, but pretty close to every week I have a new video up. Well, I really like the little summit sign cut out. I did struggle with where to put it. So it does make a few movements and eventually it pops into a spot that's kind of open there under my son looking through the little binoculars, and it just looks perfect there. It just suddenly it's like it's home. So you'll see it kind of move around a little bit more yet. One thing I don't have in this layout that I normally like to have is one of the papers that will combine all the colors, but I didn't do that this time, and I did kind of combine the colors in my embellishment clusters, so that kind of makes up for it. But yeah, it's kind of a new thing for me, and I am happy with the layout, so it shows that I don't have to have that. I used the brush there to just add a little spot where that little cabin or fire lookout can sit, and I just blended a little bit of brown or espresso ink down there where it sits. I found these little bits in the Evergreen workshop, so I'm just going to ink them a little bit. And I stamped this from Fresh Air Cardmaking, I believe. Aurora Cardmaking. So I just figured it was fitting because it has a bear, and I'm going to put these like this, like it's going behind there. And then I think it might be nice to have another one kind of just underneath here. And then we just snip down in, and I don't like very deep dovetails. I like them to be quite shallow. Well, that's pretty shallow. A little deeper than that. There. So I generally won't go too far in. However deep you do the point inside is how deep the dovetail will be. So this has been a fun layout because it really tells a story, and I'm going to show you my journaling in a few seconds here. I just have to print it off. it's a neat way of doing journaling, but I can't really show you today how I did it, but I will make a video. I'll make another video on Canon selfie and like using Canva or whatever to do these things. So adding that little banner on the bottom of the glacier colored pattern paper from the top does two things. It makes a landing spot for that picture, and it also brings the glacier paper down to the bottom. This little stamp here came from the Change of Scenery stamp set, and it's kind of got a little line with an X and a loop-de-loop showing where you might travel or walk. Here is the layout. I only have flip flaps that flip up, and I already glued my my journaling on the back, so that's not going to work. I also kind of wanted it so that it didn't kind of disturb the whole layout. It didn't stick off the layout, but when it's flipped open, you can just read it and still kind of look around. I'm just going to read to you what I have in my journaling so you can hear the story. The story is not really pictured, but it's just part of this day. So while I'm giving you close-ups, here is the story. Mount Revelstoke National Park, August 2023. For a little while on the drive down from Mount Revelstoke, we had a pet chipmunk. While we climbed the last couple of kilometers from the parking lot up the mountain to the old fire lookout, a chipmunk hid under the hood of our truck. As we were heading down the mountain, he popped up from the gap between the windshield and the hood. Ryan, who was driving, squeaked like a girl. He ran around the hood for a little bit and then went back in the gap. We discussed him for a while and talked about the baby black bears we had spotted on the way up, when he popped back up again. Now it was raining and his fur was blowing in the wind, and Ryan said something about turning on the windshield wipers, but thankfully didn't. Then he leapt off the hood and lay in the road looking quite dead as a vehicle behind us drove around him. We were all looking back saying, "Aw, poor buddy," when suddenly he jumped up and ran into the forest. We all yelled, "Yay!" We like to think he made it back to his family. Hope you enjoyed that story, and I'll catch you next time here on YouTube. Bye.